Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Birdie Golf Club podcast. You join me very happy on this bank holiday Monday because not just the fact that Tommy Fleetwood is finally a PGA Tour winner. Probably the best prize on the PGA Tour as well, without a doubt. Not probably the best prize on the PGA Tour, but also just the way he did it, which was unbelievable as well. But also the fact that we've got at the end of this episode what I thought was going to be a short interview with Peter Townsend, who has come up with an unbelievable product which you are going to want for the golf course. Get this, suntan lotion that you don't have to get on your hands. Now that is something that all golfers need. So stay tuned for that interview with Peter Townsend from Solex, creator of Solex. But also he has an amazing story as well. Ex-race car driver, drove with the likes of Damon Hill, but also entrepreneurial guy who has come up with some incredible products in the past, and Solex is his new creation and something that you're going to want, and we've got a discount code for listeners as well on that. So that's coming up in a bit, and that's a great chat. We talk golf, we talk racing, we talk business. It's just great. I really enjoyed it. I've just come off of it, and I'm very much enjoying what happened. So I hope you do too. But I just wanted to talk about what happened last night over the weekend. Obviously, Tommy Fleetwood getting over the line and how brilliantly he done it as well. So just congratulations to Tommy. I mean, what a moment for him. And I took some notes. I thought I'd be really professional and take some notes. So these are my thoughts and how they came up. And first of all, I'm going to talk about Keegan Bradley. Because I was watching Keegan Bradley, and there's somebody who looks uncomfortable over the ball. Let's be honest, he's not what you would want your posture and your golf swing to look like. So you can probably remove that from the equation somewhat. You're not going to want to look like Keegan Bradley. We may do, but it also shows that swing DNA is there. So that's pretty important. But I thought one of the key takeaways I took from Keegan Bradley when I was watching him, and he hit some great shots yesterday, he didn't play his best golf, but he hit some pretty good shots, was his conversations with his caddy before he stepped over the ball. And the fact that the majority of his time wasn't spent over the ball, it was spent visualising the shot, knowing and committing to what he wanted to do. And his actual time over the ball was very, very minimal. And I thought that was something that we could all take away from it. Sometimes we think our pre-shot routine is over the ball, and it's not. Our pre-shot routine is 90% in our heads. Sometimes people envision pre-shot routine as how many practice swings they take, the waggles that they do over the ball, getting comfortable with the feet, pouring at it like Patrick Cantlay 30,000 times. That's another point. But no, instead, really commit to your shot before you even step into it. And then you're over the ball for minimal amount of time. You can be athletic. So I thought that was really good. And that's something that we can all take away from it. But talking about time over the ball, Cantlay. Now, I discussed this with Peter towards the end of the episode, so I won't go on about it too much. But previously, I sort of got embroiled in an Instagram debate, essentially, of is pace of play an issue on the PGA Tour? Now, I think in the whole still it's not. But I think, rightly so, people are becoming enraged with watching someone like Patrick Cantlay slow things down to his pace so much that it affects other players. Tommy did an amazing job yesterday of just staying in his own lane. You can tell that Finno was boiling. Like, the way he didn't even try and hide it. Just tapping his feet, just walking away sometimes when Patrick Cantlay was taking an obscene amount of time over his shot. And that's an issue. Now, I think it's something that just needs to be tackled head on with the individuals that are causing it, and don't spread that across the field because it's not fair. I don't think it's an issue across the field. I think it's an individual issue. So pace of play, grab the player. Don't warn both players. If it's clear that it's one of them, pick out the one that's at fault. Don't do it to both of them. You can tell the officials yesterday almost felt bad about speeding both players up when you pretty much couldn't get the camera across quick enough to get to Tommy. By the time that Patrick Cantlay had finished his shot, he'd already hit his shot. It was just really shocking. So really glad Patrick Cantlay didn't spoil the party yesterday. On to Tommy. I feel like all of his heartbreaks, which he kind of alluded to in the post round interview, all of the heartbreaks led to this moment and led to him being able to take it in his stride, which is what he did. He took it into his stride, and he won that tournament at a canter in the end, which was so impressive to do with that amount of pressure. But you almost got the sense, even with like when that putt went in, that final putt just went in, picked the ball out of the hole, big smile. And I think he said it in his post round interview, or even I think it may have been even the trophy ceremony. He's been a PGA Tour winner in his mind for a long time, just hasn't done it in the real world, and that's something that we can all take away as well. Be confident in your ability before you go out there. The results eventually will speak for themselves, but you need to have that belief that you can do a low round. Whether that be, I can break 90, and I'm shooting 98s, 99s. Whether that's break 80 and shooting 89s, 88s. If you have the belief that you can do it, eventually, obviously with a certain amount of skill level that's there, you can do it. And I thought Tommy was the personification of that. I don't know how many of you watched the completely unnecessary part from it, which I felt that really actually took away from the moment. And I don't know any other golf tournaments that have done this. And I wonder if it's the live involvement as well, feels like they need to hype up situations. But there was an announcer over the tannoy on the 18th green as the players walked towards the green that was like, and give it up for Patrick Cantlay. And, of course, Tommy Fleetwood. And it was dreadful. It took away from the moment. It made it joke-worthy and completely unnecessary. You had this unbelievable moment that as Tommy was walking towards the green, you had all these fans like coming in a bit Tiger-esque of him walking down the last when it was obviously the FedEx Cup as well. And you had this stupid tannoy coming over the thing and this announcer giving like their names. It's like everyone that's there is a golf fan. Everyone is there is perfectly aware of the moment. And you have completely taken away from it and made it this sort of circus act of, it was awful. Like whoever's idea that was, sack 'em, because that was a terrible idea. And I felt it really took away from what should be a heart in mouth moment to be in this, okay, he's already had his round of applause. Like, wait for that moment. Dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. And then, of course, the win, Tommy did it like he did all day, just took it in his stride, made what could have been a tricky little finish with obviously the chip on, and then just two-putted, but he just done it simply. And it was just so lovely to see that someone like Justin Rose, who, let's face it, took victory from Tommy's grass, a few weeks ago. The fact that him and Shane Lowry stuck around, and obviously Tommy's son Oscar as well. And it was just so great to see that they care for this man who's given so much to the game of golf and has done amazing. Like, he's had an incredible career, and he got it over the line and did it in his way. And I think Rich Beam was talking about it at the end, and he sort of alluded to the fact that he wouldn't say what he said to Tommy when he was a young golfer. But it was pretty clear that he obviously said to Tommy, like, you're going to be world number one, or you're going to end up having, I mean, who knows what he said, maybe Grand Slam winner, I don't know, major champion. I think Tommy Fleetwood's going to have a real amazing 2026. I think Tommy will get a major over the line. I think Tommy will rack up a few PGA Tour wins as well, We know that he's pretty prolific on the DP World Tour when he plays. And I feel like now, monkey off his back, it's time for him to rack up some wins. And he's been so close with majors. I think he's, 3 second-place finishes in majors? Maybe that's lowballing, maybe that's too much. I can't remember. I haven't got the stats in front of me. But he is just an amazing, amazing golfer. And there's stuff that I think the everyday golfer can take from his golf swing as well. By the fact it's a very simple motion. Keeps it on plane. Gets all his power from the ground. Doesn't sort of do anything too dramatic, but yet it produces results. So definitely something we can all take away from Tommy Fleetwood. And most of all his mental side of things as well. I think he said something really lovely in the post-round interview where he said that I'm a good person first, golfer second. And that's something that we can all take onto the golf course as well. It may be difficult at times. We might get very competitive. We might sort of try and wind people up, or I'm guilty of it. But be a good person first, and worry about the golf second. And that what leads to him being such a likeable character. Everyone rooting for him. No USA chance yesterday. Probably helped that he had Cantlay chasing him down, who's one of the most unlikable people on tour. But really, really lovely to see him do it, and what momentum as well that builds ready for the Ryder Cup. And we know that it will be a more hostile atmosphere, but having that win. And do you know what? Credit to Keegan Bradley as well, because I saw he stuck around to congratulate Tommy as well on the last. And I know that there was a little bit of sort of thing of when he won and beat Tommy, it all seemed a little bit rushed at the end, and almost like he didn't acknowledge the fact that, you know, for Tommy it was pretty heartbreaking. He doesn't have to in that situation. Let's be frank about it. But he said afterwards that he was pretty devastated for Tommy. So credit to Keegan Bradley. He's got a huge decision this week to make. I think it's Wednesday is when we're going to find out his picks, which could include himself. What do you think? Do you think Keegan should pick himself? Do you think he will pick himself? I'm going to say yes, he's going to pick himself. Should he? I mean, yeah, I think he should. I think if it comes down between him and Cam Young, I think he'd rather have Keegan playing. I think Cam Young's hit a good vein of form. I think he's overstated his form a little bit. I mean, he won a tour event. He won that, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't an elevated event, so a lot of the guys weren't there. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it was, and he kind of ran away with the field on that one. But I think you'd rather have Keegan Bradley on your team. I think for tenacity, how much he loves the Ryder Cup. I know he's going to be captain anyway, but I think you can probably do it. Will it be enough to beat Europe this time? I'm not sure. I think Europe has such a strong team, and then that continuity of having Luke Donald as well back means that there's no unknowns for those guys. They're going into it knowing what they're going to get from Luke, knowing what they can deliver. I think it'll be a pretty settled team. I saw Rasmus Højgaard qualified yesterday, so he's in the top 6, so he'll be on the team, so that's obviously a change. You had Nikolai last time. So, you know, but they're twins, so in many ways it doesn't change too much. But I think you're going to see a pretty settled team. I reckon a lot of the same faces are going to be on there. I think your Victors, I think Ludwig's already qualified. If not, I think you'll see your Ludwigs, Shane Lowry's, Sepp Straka. I think you're going to see a pretty settled European team. And I think that will get it over the line for him. But look, we've got a lot of time to talk about the Ryder Cup. So let's do that. Let's do that further down the line. But for now, let's just enjoy the brief break that we get, and enjoy the little build up to the Ryder Cup, which is not far away. Anyway, let's get to this interview with Peter. We had a really great chat, and just so you know that all the links to Solex will be in the description below, and obviously you can use the code BirdieGolf15, which we discussed in it, BirdieGolf15 at checkout, and that will get you 15% off. Go and do it. It's a brilliant product, and I think you'll see it on people's bags all over the place. Should say that it does come with an ability to be able to put it on the outside of your bag, which is just super helpful as well. So, without much ado, I'm not going to say further this time, because apparently that's wrong. Without much ado, let's get to the interview with Peter. Well, Peter, thank you so much for joining me this morning, like we just said, on a sunny bank holiday morning in the UK. And I know we're looking to have a chat about Solex and the wonderful product that you've created. But first of all, I was just wondering what your affinity with the game is, what your affinity with golf is, and where that all maybe began.
Right. Oh, that's an interesting question. I suppose, well, I'm 66 now, and I suppose I've played golf for about 30 years. I played a little bit when I was much younger. My background is motor racing. I was a professional racing driver for about 10 years back in the 80s, and I won a few championships and before I got into business. But a mutual friend introduced me to a gentleman named Bill Longmuir, and he was on the European tour, and I had no idea what that meant. And I ended up making up 4 balls with my friend Jeff and Bill Longmuir, and I thought, God, this guy's really good. You know, he should take it up professionally. I had absolutely no idea until I saw him on the telly at the Open. And I thought, oh, he's quite a serious player then, because he led it a couple of times.
Oh, he did. Good.
So that's kind of where it started, and like everyone, I just got the bug, you know. And then sort of business and family got in the way, so I played very, very infrequently for a long time. But I suppose for the last 10 or 15 years, my ambition is to play once a week, and I probably succeed 30-40% of the time, just with, you know, work and family commitments. But I'm keen.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what this podcast, the premise of this podcast when it started, was essentially a slice of golf in a golfless week, because I sort of fit that mould of somebody with a young family, would love to get out and play every day, you know, let's be honest. But the reality is probably twice a month, 3 times a month is pretty much maximum. And, you know, it's just trying to get better at a game that is just trying to be against you every step of the way, which is a challenge for most of us. So what type of motor racing did you take part in? Was that sort of rallycross or sort of...
Right, no, it was all single-seater racing. So I raced with the likes of Damon Hill and Johnny Herbert, some you know guys who went on to the top of the game. And it's good. And I won the British Formula Ford Championship in '84 against some very stiff competition. But with that game, it's all about sponsorship. If you can get enough, you know, sponsorship, you know, I think with, you know, and I'll probably get chastised for saying this, but with golf, you know, or tennis, you need a bat or some clubs. And with hard work, you can show how talented you are. But with motor racing, at the stage I was racing at, unless you had £50,000 sponsorship to buy the best tyres, the best engines, the best chassis, you couldn't show what level of talent you had. You know, it just got to the stage that I could see myself on this wheel of trying to find sponsorship in order to progress or in order to stay in the sport, continuing forever. And I really wanted to make a change. So I I was a senior instructor at Brands Hatch, teaching sort of young prodigies coming through, and I could see sort of tons of family money behind them. And I thought, I'm never going to compete with this. I'm going to have to go and make some money for myself if I'm going to sort of feed this addiction. So I came up with a novel idea. All of the circuits had loads of merchandise on sale, and it was all based around the driver's crash helmet, which was effectively their logo. And back then in the 80s, they didn't change week to week like they do with Formula One drivers now. They just stuck with that logo continuously. And I had the novel idea of saying, "Oh, this would fit nicely on a watch dial, and no one's doing any watches. I'll do that." So I approached Nigel Mansell about the idea and said, "Oh, Nigel, because at that time you could literally walk into the paddock and start a conversation, not without, I think it's
Barrier
easier to
to
see.
entry.
Yeah, I think it's easier to get in and see the Prime Minister than it is get into an F1 paddock these days, let
Unless
alone
you're
the front
Brad
of the
Pitt.
garage." Yeah. So I wandered up and said, "I've got this great idea," explained it to him, and he said, "Yeah, that's great, let's do it." And he said, "Oh, okay." And then I realised I knew nothing about watches. So I sold the connection onto a watch company who paid me a nice commission for doing that. And I thought, "Oh, this is good. Maybe merchandising is the future for me." And but during that period, I suddenly thought, well, if you can put a racing driver's crash helmet on there, surely you could put a company logo on there, which simply didn't exist at that time. And with some research, I realised that you could buy, a Swatch watch was £25, and I could buy and make a Swatch replica and sell it for £5 and make a good margin. So I took my commission, bought a flight to Hong Kong, got into my hotel, opened up the yellow pages, and looked up watch manufacturing. That's how naive I was, but how basic industry was 35, 40 years ago. So after a week, I put together a deal with a couple of watch manufacturers, came back and started selling these watches to all of the companies that I've been talking to about sponsorship. So BMW, Jaguar, Virgin, all of these guys were going, "Yeah, we'll have 1,000." And I was thinking, my God, I'm really onto something. And that just led me into a whole career in that promotional watch business that then morphed into general merchandise. In that people would say, "Oh, we did a really good watch promotion last year. Why don't we do an umbrella this year?" And I say, "Yeah, I know a guy." So I would then go and find them an umbrella. So I started a whole sourcing business in China, and I think my little claim to fame in the watch business was by volume, not by value, but by volume. I was the biggest watch importer into the UK for about 4 or 5 years. We were doing like 1.5 million watches a year.
Oh, wow.
It's incredible because you had at that time, the way the retail market worked, you had this price point of 25, 30 quid. So when you gave someone a watch, that's what they saw the value at.
Yep.
But the phone came along and killed that, because basically everyone didn't have the need for a cheap watch because you had a timepiece in your hand every day. So
Yeah.
it was just as well we kind of moved on into other products.
Exactly. And how have you found that transition? Because obviously that was a field you got to know really, really well, I'm guessing, over the years. And like you said, you became top importer in the UK. How have you found the transition into new products? Because you seem like somebody who has the ideas pretty much locked down. You're an ideas man, and then it's a case of, right, how do I do this from here? So how have you found that transition?
Well, over the years, we employed a lot of product designers, and because my sort of marketing philosophy was, rather than just taking an existing product and popping a logo on it, what we would do is design and manufacture something very bespoke for you. So I had a lot of big clients like Procter and Gamble. So we're doing Gillette, Olay, Old Spice, basically the whole roster, supplying them product on a sort of global scale. And what we would do is really look into their target audience and design things that appealed to them, and then say to the client, you know, this is what we think will work for you. And it was phenomenally successful. And the thing that I realized over the years is that the thing that I enjoyed most was working with the designers. That, you know, the business is business, and that's, you know, that can be very tough and tricky, and you have to make hard decisions. Whereas working with designers was just pure pleasure. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed working with creative people, and whilst I've had no formal training, I left school at 14, so I enjoyed technical drawing as a kid at school. That was my favourite subject. So I'm able to visualise things in my mind and get them sort of three-dimensionally down on paper. And being, you know, quite a dyslexic, I see the world differently to other people, and sort of what people perceive as engineering problems, I immediately go to solutions and ask them, have I oversimplified this? Because that to me was very, very easy to solve. And you've got guys scratching their heads saying, how are we going to do that? And so I'm always afraid that I've completely missed the point because I've come up with such a simple solution. And I guess that's kind of with with Solex, in that I was playing golf one day, I was roasting, and I was looking at the sun cream thinking, if I put that sun cream on, it's going to spoil my game. If I don't put that sun cream on, I'm going to burn. And I personally hate sunburn. It's kind of like, you know, you're going to get burnt. It's like looking at a pot of boiling water and thought, if I put my hand in there, that's going to really burn. And, you know, and it's the same, to me, it's the same notion. If I stay in the sun all day without sun cream, I'm going to really burn. So I get annoyed with myself when I burn. So in the end, I opted to put the sun cream on, wipe my hands on the towel. I just had sort of greasy, gritty hands, wipe my hands on the grass. I had, you know, more grit. And I just said, oh, man, there's just got to be a better solution than this. And I got to thinking, and I thought, you know, well, maybe if you can make a foam applicator that can just, you know, rub the sun cream on and leave your hands clean, that will work. And I got on the internet and found some little pots of, were just basically empty pots with a foam applicator on that was rather like the shoe polish thing. They're actually used for detailing in the auto industry for car cleaners. Right. You know, they put their liquids in there, and they can just sort of, you know, put it on the wheels or tires or whatever they do.
Squeeze and go type sort of, yeah.
Yeah, and I mated one of those onto the top of a bottle of sun cream, and this thing, I suppose, was about an inch diameter, something like that, and then I started using that, and it's like, oh my God, that works. That really works. So I then pursued what would be a better shape, and then it's kind of like the whole thing racks up from there. So with Solex to make the product, we've got, I think it's like we created 14 new toolings, injection toolings to make the product, because the notion is very simple. The reality was far more complicated.
Okay.
Of how to make it work, and we've got. I really like the saddle shape. The idea that it fits nicely. The groove fits nicely onto the larger surfaces of your arms and legs, and face, and then the peaks are really good for detailing in around, you know, your nose and ears. I think it's particularly brilliant at putting sun cream on your ears. I think I'd go so far as to say I think it's more efficient than fingers when it comes to getting sun cream on your ears. I don't know why. Maybe it's just my big ears.
No, no, that's good to hear. I always have a problem with the ears as well, and I seem to have this thing where it's like I get that sort of, I think it's called juvenile spring eruption that tends to happen on my ears when they're exposed to what's the name, and for some reason I still get it in my 30s. So to have something that is able to do that, I mean, I was out on the golf course and I had the exact same thought as you, but unfortunately I'm not as innovative as you are because I literally just. I sort of had the same thing previous round. I'd used just generic sun cream. Hands were all greasy, everything like that. And I thought, I can't have that again. So I noticed my kids had like a roll-on one. And I was like, I'm going to nick that. So I took it out with me. Didn't obviously have a mirror on me at the time. And just assumed that the roll-on would be like a case of that it would be a very thin layer and you could roll it on and job was done. I put it on all my face and my mate looks at me and goes, you know, you've literally got like thick sun cream all over your face, don't you? And I'm like, what, it didn't rub it in or anything? He's like, no, it just literally just smeared sun cream all over your face. And I thought, well, now I'm in the same predicament where I'm spreading sun cream on my face and it hasn't solved anything. And honestly, when I came, I was, you know, my phone must have been listening to my thoughts or conversations or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And came across Solex on Instagram and was just like, well, that just seems a complete no-brainer. I think it was like what you were saying earlier with the fact that with dyslexia, you sort of oversimplify things and it becomes this, well, that's the solution. And you didn't, like, it's 100% it's the solution for golfers and for, I think, just in everyday life as well. It just seems such a simpler product to apply and use when you're out. And we all know the benefits of obviously using sun cream when you're out in the sun for a sustained period of time. So, yeah, I was pretty blown away by the product and the ingenuity of it.
Yeah, that's very, very kind of you. It's but getting to your point, yeah, I don't see any limit to where it can be used. You know, whether you're hiking up a mountain or sat outside a cafe. You know, it's great for wriggling kids.
Yeah.
It's you know, really is such a good all rounder. And I'm pleased to say we're getting lots of traction in the from retailers from it. We've had a bit of interest from some of the major supermarkets, but in golf it's like pushing an open door because every golfer knows this problem day in, day out, and it just solves that. And you know, I say to people, do your normal sun care routine before you go out. You know, for me personally, I get to the club. I put my sun, you know, just sun cream from a bottle on. I go and have a coffee with my buddies, and then you've gone past that sort of 20 minutes that it takes to have an effect. Because the way sun creams work is the chemicals mix with your skin to form a barrier that absorbs the UVA and UVB and disperses it, so it's not harmful. And it takes about 20-30 minutes to take effect. But it only lasts 2 hours, and that's the thing that most people miss. A lot of people think that, you know, I've put sun cream on first thing in the morning, I'm done for the day. You're not. It basically, sun cream works like a bell curve in that the SPF increases very rapidly in that first half an hour until it reaches let's say factor 30 or factor 50, but then it's on a sort of a gradual curve down. So after 2 hours, that SPF has dropped below 15, and 15 is the absolute minimum you need to be outside. And that's when you need to reapply. That 2 hour window varies from activity. If you're sweating a lot or toweling off because you're sweating or swimming, your skin complexion, your age, all of those things vary. So that's why, you know, dermatologists saying don't go beyond 2 hours. And I would say to anyone with fair skin or, sort of red hair and freckles and things like that, you know, it's more like an hour and a half. And on my journey with this, you know, I spoke to a lot of people, done a lot of exhibitions, and people were saying, no, I can't go beyond an hour. or I just burn, just because of skin types. So
Yeah.
you have to be really careful. And the problem is, as we mentioned earlier, with global warming, it's the ozone's breaking down, and we're just getting more and more harmful UVA and UVB coming through every time. So it's becoming more and more of a problem. There
It,
are obviously sorry.
perfect. It's perfect for golf in that way as well, because we
Mm,
know generally you're playing 2 hours, you're probably at the ninth, going into the 10th.
mm,
Generally, people stop at halfway hut, whatever it may be. So just having like that initiative to just reapply, and like we said before, what was an arduous task previously can become a very simple task.
mm.
Thanks to Solex really in that way, and in that way also then you're not ruining your day by the end of it with like we spoke about before, with a sunburn or anything like that, because
Yeah,
that's a sure way to make yourself feel pretty ill as well.
yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't feel great. Let's say.
No, no,
It's-
it is horrible.
Especially the fact we're
And
actually getting summers over here now as well, where
yes,
we're reaching 30 degrees pretty consistently, which
yes.
wasn't the case for a while either. Yeah. Sorry, Peter, you were about to say.
I've got to think what I was going to say then.
It's bad hosting from me. It's really bad hosting from me. I'm just, I
Oh,
do it all
come
the
to the,
time.
yeah.
But
Uh,
what's next? What would you say with Solex? What's your focus for the rest of this year? And obviously, I'm guessing as well to look at sort of the American market as well. Is obviously North American market for golf is obviously one of the biggest ones, along
yeah.
with Europe. So what's your targets for sort of this next sort of few months leading into 2026?
So we've got an exhibition in Germany in December, which focuses on European outdoor industry, so all the hiking, skiing, those kind of sports. So we're looking for distributors there.
Mm.
And we've had a few conversations in the States, with distributors, but the bar to entry is quite high there because you have to have an FDA approved product.
Of
Because
course, yeah.
in the States it's considered an over the counter medicine.
Right.
So we've sourced a sun care manufacturer, very big global player who's got two plants in the USA, who's going to make sun cream for us. But
Mm.
now we need someone who's prepared to buy 10,000 units in order to kick that whole thing off. So
Yeah.
you know, we're looking for a big partner. So at the moment, we're kind of gently feeling out the market, but we know it's quite a big commitment from their side.
Of
But
course.
ironically, we do get a lot of, because the internet goes everywhere. We do get every week 2 or 3 people emailing our info account saying, "Is this product available in the States yet?"
Right.
So there's obviously there's a bit of
Demand then.
demand out there, yeah,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
really nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, sort of best case you'd look at your Walmarts and stuff like that, but then obviously more niche as well. You've got your Golf Galaxies and stuff like that as well, where
Mm,
it would probably fit into their, you know, last thing before someone checks out is sitting there ready to go, and it's sort
yeah,
of the product speaks for itself in that way, which is pretty awesome, Peter.
yeah,
And
and I mean, that's exactly what we're doing with American Golf. It's on the counter at the checkout in American Golf, and it's going really, really well.
perfect. Yeah, that makes sense. Along with the golf insurance sort of ready to go, it's there. That's amazing, Peter. And you've got a great team behind you as well at Solex. I've spoken to a couple through email, and everyone seems
Yeah,
very engaged. And
yeah, no, I'm very well supported. They're a good team. Principally, it's a husband and wife team. My wife and I have worked together for like, you know, 35, 36 years now, so we know our way
wonderful.
around each other. And Nadia's come on to do all of our digital marketing because I think in this day and age. It's the only way to get a presence, and she's doing a really, really good job. It's going really, really well. While we're focusing on golf, as I say, we're preaching to the choir, so everyone wants to get involved. We've got lots of macro influencers working with us now.
Yeah.
And that's getting us a lot of exposure, which I'm really, really pleased about, because I got to be honest, I miss that boat. I don't get the digital world. That I kind of know what's going on, but I don't know how to do it.
I'm still working it out, so don't worry. I'm still working it out. I feel like I missed the boat, to be honest, but
Yeah.
what works and what doesn't work baffles me every single time.
Yeah.
But thank goodness for longer form conversations like this. I can do this. This is what I sort of grew up doing, is actually having conversations. So
Yeah, no, I think that the whole podcast concept's really good, actually. To get to meet people and have some interesting conversations. 'Cause we've all had different journeys, haven't we, of how we got here and what our experiences are.
Absolutely, Peter. Yeah, what's your, leaving the conversation back to golf? What's your goals in golf at the moment? What's your things you're working on? Where's your game at the moment? How have you found that?
Yeah, no. I had an awful winter, and my handicap kept going up and up and up, and I went from 18 to 17 to 21, and I couldn't really work out why. So at my club, we've got a coach called named Paul Stewart, who's very, very good. And what I like about Paul is when you have a lesson with him, he'll give you one thing to work on. Whereas over the years, I've had a few coaches, and they start showing me images of Adam Scott and overlaying me on him, and and literally trying to rebuild me from the ground up. And as an older guy with lots of injuries from falling off motorbikes when I was young and crashing cars in my 20s and 30s, I can't do that. I can't achieve that. So
not many of us can with Adam Scott's sort of swing.
No, it's so silky smooth. So what Paul will do is work with you and give you sort of one key takeaway and say just work on that, and it really, really works. And I've been practicing hard, because I've got I've got a trip up to Scotland next week. I'm going up to St Andrews.
Oh, amazing!
So we can't get on the old course, but we're playing a few courses. So St Andrews are a good customer of mine, one of the early converters to Solex, the St Andrews Links Trust. So we're going up to see them to have a planning meeting for next year. And I invited a pal, and we're going up and staying at the Fairmont St Andrews. Callum Nichol there's very kindly looking after us. Amazing. And we're just spending a couple of nights, going to have a couple of games and do a bit of business. So kind of having that focus, like with me, if I've got an event, I really focus on getting out and practicing, and so I've been hitting the ball nicely, and then it suddenly literally evaporated again. And I saw Paul yesterday, and he said, your shoulders are too open at impact. He said, what's happening is the club's getting way behind you, it's coming out a bit thin, and your disbursement is pretty bad. So we really just concentrated for 35, 40 minutes on getting square impact. I went out and played, and I played some really, really lovely shots. I was very, very happy.
So I'm guessing your bad shot would be a slice if your shoulders are open, even before they become more open. Your miss was probably to the right. And then our body just seems to do this thing where we just open ourselves up even more and more, and then it just becomes even more exaggerated, doesn't it? I had the exact same issue, and it wasn't until I sort of basically had to square my shoulders off to the point of aiming right of target that it kind of helped solve the whole thing. It's so sometimes you do need someone to point it out to you, though, don't you? I think the coach, like you were saying, I've got friends that have just got involved in the game, and they're playing off 30, 35 or whatever it may be, and I say to them, go for lessons, that's fine, but find somebody who's not going to overload you with information to try and get you to book 10 sessions. Because that's, and it's understandable because it's a business and they're trying to block book and whatever they may do. But you do need to find someone who's willing to just give you something to make you better within the next few weeks, rather than someone who's going to make you better in the next year, because especially depending on how much time you have as well, because I think it takes 10 times the amount of time of a lesson to implement what they've asked you to do.
Yeah.
And that can be a very difficult balance, because for them, obviously, it's important to get the bookings in and to have a regular client, but for you, you're looking to get better at golf, and it's very hard to do that if they're trying to make you look like Adam Scott, because none of us are. We all have our own swing DNA, and it's just a case of, right, what can I do with what I've got, because I'm an amateur golfer,
Yeah, and I think that's really, really important. It's like, for me personally, it's about take the frustration out of my game so I can go out and enjoy my golf. I'm never going to be a pro, am I? But what I want to do is go out and compete with my buddies.
Yeah, but I'm guessing you've got that. You've definitely got that competitive edge because of your career, like leading up to it, right? You must just sort of really want to win quite a bit as well.
Yes, there is that too. That and it's funny, because with that motor racing, I sort of crossed that over into my work life, in that I view every day as a lap, and as a racing driver, you're just trying to improve your last lap time. You'll go into a corner a little bit deeper, or you'll get on the gas a bit earlier, or all different things to try and improve. And we're talking tenths every time, just trying to shave a tenth off your previous best. And that's how I operate in my business life. Is at the end of the day, unless we've made an improvement, it's been a waste of a day. Every day you have to be a little step further forward, And sometimes, you'll find 4 or 5 tenths in a day. Sometimes it'll only be a tenth. But if you don't improve, I really get pissed off that I'm not a step further forward.
That's very understandable. That's a brilliant analogy for it as well. Taking what you did from racing and moving it into sort of business and with golf and everything like that as well. It works really well.
Yeah.
Do you still do a little bit of racing? Because obviously the technology with racing is, I've got friends that have got these little home like racing simulators and stuff like that. Do you partake in any of that still, or try and get out on track still? I'm guessing you still got connections at Brands Hatch and stuff like that.
So I do occasionally. We go karting with my son and son-in-law and all of the all of that gang, and I still show them up, and it does annoy them that the old boy can still put it to them.
All that experience, though, right? I mean, just
I think the thing is I can get on the pace very quickly and then find tiny improvements, whereas they spend the whole, like they'll spend 10 minutes to get on the pace, and then I'm already sort of half a second quicker than them consistently. So I quite enjoy sticking to them like that. And I'm just addicted to F1. I love watching F1.
It's done so well, hasn't it? I mean, because I remember watching F1 when I was in my teens, and like so into it. I was on holiday, and I remember waking up at like 4 a.m. to watch like the first race of the year, and then I just felt like it went through a bit of a lull. But then this like the Netflix sort of stuff with Drive to Survive, and also the emergence of a bit more character-based sort of storylines that are going on, and with the field seemingly moving a little bit closer to each other as with the rules and everything like that, it just leads to some better racing, which seems to be
definitely. I think 2 things. I think Drive to Survive obviously opened up Formula One to a massive new audience, but it took the focus away from the top 2 or 3 cars, and people come into it and say, no, I want to support Haas, or I want to support Alpine and things like that. So people were actually prepared to come out and support struggling teams, and so it's moved the fans' focus away from who's winning a little bit to the whole of the field. People pick their favourites and shout for their favourites, even if they're racing after that last point. It's a victory to them. and that I think is brilliant for the game. And as you say, it's really made some characters out of the sport. I think Danny Ricciardo in particular came out of it really well, showing what a sort of a great personality he has. And because I think there was a time in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, where the racing drivers were such corporate drones. They just showed no flair, no personality, no quips.
One of them.
It was just all straight down the line. I drove my Marlboro car to the end and I won. It's
it's
we want to know.
We want fun.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting point you made as well about the fact that it's opened up the field, and I think this is something that all sports are trying to capture from. Like, you look at the Premier League in football, obviously, and you've got teams 1 to 20 that they have thousands upon millions of supporters. And then you look at other things that were struggling before, a bit like F1 and golf in many ways as well, where it's very top heavy. So you've got your leading guys, leading teams, whatever it may be, and then everyone else sort of struggles along the way. And I think with Drive to Survive, like you said, it's created narratives around everyone in the field, which has been good. And then you look at what they've done with golf as well, with obviously the Netflix series there, and the fact that your Joel Damons have gained notoriety, and his caddy, it's Gino. I mean, how often? I mean, not anymore, which is obviously another storyline. But how different that is, and then you see how that's been implemented into the game, and then you essentially have a whole field of people with stories, which then makes you tune in and want to watch. And I did wonder, with the FedEx that's happened over the last few weeks, I don't know how you implement it into other tournaments, but the fact that every single one leading up to obviously the playoff finals had the cut of the next tournament going on added a whole other layer to the golf, which I don't know how you capture that across the rest of the year. But it was brilliant because having that double sort of thing going on of obviously the winner, and then obviously the fact that you're having all these guys battling out to try and get into the top 30 ready for the next one was so good. But it's like, how do you do that for the rest of the year leading up to it? It's a very difficult thing to do because golf can be very singly focused on who wins that tournament that week, which is it's tough, isn't it? How do you recreate that kind of jeopardy?
Yeah, I agree that tension has been really good, and I do enjoy that, where the guys are really sort of battling, because you get the feeling, and I'll probably get shot for saying this, but if you make the cut and you're not playing great, you drift off. Whereas I'm here for the weekend, I'm going to make a few quid, but the amount of money those guys are making, sort of 50th or 40th is potato in their world. But if I don't make it to 40, I'm going home and I'm missing out on a chunk of money next week is a huge incentive.
Yeah. I don't know how that works on a year-long basis, though. You know what I mean? How do you recreate? I mean, I guess you can't. I guess that's what makes... Because a lot of people have struggled with the FedEx Cup towards the end of the year, and obviously the staggered start system, which was in place, and now it's going to just be in a level playing field. For me, that's what you focus on. I think you focus on the guys getting into the next week, because your top guys are generally going to be battling out. And obviously you had this weekend with Tommy, which was a fantastic storyline, and unbelievable irony that the first one he wins is literally for the marbles, the whole thing, which is awesome. But
I watched that last night, and
it's great, wasn't it?
I'm just so made up for the man. I really am. And more than anything, right, is that when he lost to Keegan Bradley a couple of weeks ago, I thought that gave Team USA for the Ryder Cup some serious bragging rights.
Yeah.
And I thought, do you know what, that could really sort of be harsh hard on him because the fans wouldn't let him forget out in New York, and that would have been absolutely crushing for him. Everywhere he went, that would be hollered at him.
Yeah.
But now is sort of, it's now in your face, isn't it? Because he's won the top event and on the PGA Tour, and in style. Absolutely no wobbles or anything like that. He just kept grinding it out and just played better golf, and so I'm so pleased for him.
And he had to do it with playing at Cantlay pace, which is do you know what? I had this thing the other week because I saw on Instagram there was somebody who was like pace of play. And to be honest, it kind of winds me up, the whole pace of play stuff, because I don't think it's a huge issue across the board. I think golf is not a quick sport. It was never designed to be a quick sport. If you want quick golf, go and watch TGL. That's fine. Go and watch Live, because it's all done in the same amount of time. But golf, it's never designed to be a quick. It's a thinking man's sport. It takes time. There's a collaborative effort between you and your caddy. And I sort of said, I don't really see it as a big issue. I think it's just, something for people to moan about. What you don't want to see is suddenly timers up behind the golfers and it becomes this whole other thing. I mean, imagine going to the Masters and watching the Masters, and it's a Sunday and it's final pair. And say this year with Rory, with everything that was going on, it all gets completely taken away because behind Rory is a guy with a digital thing which is like 5, 4, 3. I mean, you don't need it. It's not necessary. But then watching yesterday and watching them try and hurry up Cantlay, and you knew it wasn't Tommy, but he's one of the quickest guys out there, and it was painful. I think it's more of an individual problem that's going on.
Yeah. I at one time, this is a God's honest truth. At one time, they're on the green. Cantlay's looking at his putt, 5-6 feet. So I've gone out in the kitchen, made myself a snack, come back, sat down, and thought, is he still on that same bloody putt?
Yes, he was. He does this little thing where he sort of like paws at the ground. I literally I've got a little kitten at the moment, and our kitten does the same thing. And it just paws away at your sort of leg or so whatever it may be, and he does that before every putt 7 times whilst looking at it, and then he looks back and then his legs start going again, and you're like, I mean, I know it's important, and I know what they're playing for is far more than what we play for as amateurs, and you can understand them taking extra time.
An insane amount of money, isn't it? Yeah.
But it was beyond like Brian Harman levels at the Open, when he was doing the waggle, and it was just. And it just seems pretty unlikable as a character as well. That doesn't help. I think if he's a likable character, you see him in YouTube videos and stuff like that, and he doesn't give you much more than what you see out on course. And look, credit to it, he's an unbelievable golfer. Some of the golf shots he hit yesterday, I think there was that one where he was in the same spot as what Tommy was, and Tommy decided he got a better lie from the drop, but Tommy decided to go left, and he was the green. There's no denying the guy's talent. Like, he's clearly an unbelievable golfer. It just doesn't seem like somebody I'd want to be playing a 4-ball with, because I don't have that much time on my hands. Yeah,
he's not in my dream 4-ball.
Imagine if he was. You really question it. But,
well, yeah, it's me you got a question then, isn't it?
Yeah. So I just, Peter seems like a nice guy, but he said Patrick Cantlay in his dream 4-ball. Well, Peter, I'll put all the links to Solex in the description of the podcast. I think I'm going to have a couple of unboxings and stuff coming up on the Instagram as well. I'll give you my feedback as well on the product. And I think it's a fantastic idea. Like I said, I think it's innovative. It's something that was necessary, and the fact you've done it is of no surprise. Obviously, with your history of being pretty entrepreneurial when it comes to these sort of things. So, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Peter. I really do appreciate it. It was fantastic to learn about your career as well.
Lovely, thanks, mate. And for your listeners, if they go on and the website and type in a discount code of BirdieGolf15, there'll be a 15% discount for them. We'd be delighted to get the product out to them.
Amazing. Thank you, Peter. That's Birdie Golf 15 at checkout 15, yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect. I'll put all that in the show notes, and go out and get some Solex and save yourself from some serious sunburn, and make it enjoyable as well, rather than being a task when you're out there. Thank you so much, Peter. Enjoy your bank holiday.